Welcome to Pegwarmers. I'm Kevin, and I'm here to talk about toys. Today, I'm taking a look at the McFarlane DC Superpowers toys. These hit shelves a little while ago. Everyone was very excited about them because it's retro fun, and I'm very excited about them. I had some of the Superpower stuff as a kid, mainly Superman and Darkseid and Lex Luthor, I believe. But I did go through a stint where I was actively collecting a lot of the Superpowers toys for my friend. A buddy of mine had a bunch from his childhood. We met up in like high school, college age. And actually, Greg, who was on the Hot Ones episode, if you haven't seen that one, the Hot Wings Q&A, he has a pretty big Superpowers collection. And because he was kind of collecting them and I like collecting toys, when I would see them at toy shows, I would pick up ones he didn't have and give them to him as gifts and things like that for his birthday and things like that. So even though I don't have a huge collection, I have collected a lot, and I have a decent collection of vintage ones that are currently in storage. But I do have a Superman here, so we can kind of compare. And I grabbed all the ones I could find. There is a Green Lantern figure that I have not seen at retail yet, as of the recording of this video, and I'm sure there'll be a wave 2. I'm not sure if they'll keep doing the vehicles or just go down to the figures. The vehicles seem to be pretty fun. But superheroes in the DC universe don't have a ton of vehicles unless you go weird vehicles. So I'll be interested to see if we keep getting vehicles. Obviously, Batman has some pretty iconic things like the Batmobile or the Batwing, which is in this line, the Batcopter, which was in the original line. You could do Wonder Woman's invisible jet. You could do other goofy things like other Supermobiles. And of course, you could reissue anything from the old line if they wanted to, like the Justice Jogger. Ugh. But Space Probe 1 or Delta, whatever that was called, all those other fun toys. But DC superheroes don't scream vehicles. Most superheroes, in fact, don't scream vehicles. So it'll be interesting to see how that goes. I don't know if we'll ever get a Hall of Justice playset, but I would love just seeing wave after wave of superhero figures in this style. Let's dig into it a little bit more. I've already kind of teased a bunch of this stuff, and I'm sure you guys have seen some of this stuff already. I have Darkseid in the package here. I will be opening him up shortly. I want to start with the packaging. The packaging is so beautiful with the blue, red, and yellow. Very eye-catching, which I think is great for trying to sell stuff to kids as well as nostalgic for selling stuff to collectors. This is a kids line with collector packaging, in my opinion. It's very nostalgic packaging, but these are fun for kid toys. I got Superman here. Classic costume. Nice paint work. He's got his S on the back of his cape. First thing you think about with superpowers, though, is the squeeze the leg action features, and they are missing here. Here we've got the original Superman, and his mechanism is a little weak because it's been used a lot. But, he's got his power punch. Nothing here. Also, these capes are far less clothy. Here's your ASMR segment. As I play with this cape, you can hear from the sound it makes that it's just not that clothy. Here on Pegwarmers, we have a hard, clothy cape stance. The clothier, the better. And Superpowers, the original ones, had the clothiest capes in the history of cloth capes. This is inferior. But it's not terrible. Wave 2, please, McFarlane. Please. Todd, I'm talking to you. Please make these capes clothier. Also, get rid of this little puncture hole in them. That sucks. They're like the little white tags that everyone hates that that they tag tags to clothes with. There's one of those holding this to the tray. Just let it float around in there. It's fine. It doesn't need to be clipped in. Ugh. The capes don't ruin them, but they're not as anywhere near as fun. They're so stiff and rigid. They don't have that nice like flutter to them the same way as the old capes did. The way they kind of cling around their shoulders. They do still clip on very much the same way, which is great. So it's not a bad execution, but I'm hoping they can maybe source some different material. Very much like the Kenner Superpowers figures, we have head articulation, we have arm articulation at the shoulder. I do in some ways like that it's a little easier to pose these guys. The Superpowers ones, it was hard to pose because the action feature would make one arm go backwards when the other arm would go forwards. That's not necessarily a bad thing. I don't have to have action features, even though that's iconic. They have hip joints. They have knee joints. These knees do have pins that are exposed. That's not quite as nice, but I get that as a cost-cutting feature. They're pretty similar in height, but the new guys are just a little bit taller, maybe a little bit wider. So they don't blend in perfectly, but I do think they're close enough that it'll work, that some of the new characters can be slipped in with your old display. So if you don't want to collect them all, if you don't want to be a completist, but you want to expand that old Superpowers team, you could get the new Green Lantern or future characters that they might make. I'm very interested to see how many original Superpowers figures will get remade and how many new figures will get made. So we've looked at Superman. I've got his card back right here. His card back really does scream that retro look. It's got the same artwork as the original one. On the back, he has a little bio and the cross-cell. Very similar to the original. Very cool. Next up, we have Batman. And it's interesting because Batman is marketed with Greg Capullo art. I believe it's Greg Capullo art. A very modern Batman. Not your Superpowers, you know, voiced by Adam West in a Filmation cartoon style. And the figure is a little bit different. He's got a different shape to his cowl. He's got a bigger chest. He doesn't have the bat symbol in the circle. And his cape has very big scallops. I like this figure, but his proportions are a little bit off. His chest is just a little bit too big for me. And I don't think they're using the same chest sculpt as Superman. So that's really odd to me. If they were using the same parts for some of these guys, which I think they did some on the original figures, I'm not totally sure, it would make sense. There's just something about him. Maybe it's just the neck that's too short that makes the chest look too big. I haven't quite figured it out. Actually, it might be the neck. Let me take a look at Superman and Batman back to back here. Oh yeah, Superman has a considerably longer neck. So maybe that is the biggest part of the problem. It's hard to compare the torsos. They seem to be the same width. And about the same height. So I think Batman's biggest problem is his neck is too short. Is that Capullo's artwork style? Does Capullo draw him with a short neck? Maybe we can get another version of Batman, maybe with the classic light blue or, you know, black at some point, and maybe we can get a different neck. It seems silly because Batman's the guy you want to make and repaint a million times without having to retool him. Or maybe just retool the head to give him a little bit of a different style. Todd, I'm going to talk to you again. Todd, can we get a Kelly Jones Batman? Can you give me a Batman with the bat ears that are like a mile high and a big ol' crazy cape, kind of like a Spawn cape? That would be cool. Also, I really would love to see some of those 90s characters in this line. We have a New 52 style Doomsday here. Doomsday. Darkseid. I would love a Doomsday in this line. I would love Bane. I would love Azrael or Asbat. I mean, really kind of power punch this up with some 90s nostalgia in this 80s inspired line would be fantastic. All right. I'm going to move on to the vehicles. We'll come back to Darkseid last. The Supermobile. Now, I had the vintage one as a kid. The vintage one was more compact. It had a battering ram on the front. This is based on a different Supermobile design. It's got the goofy punching fists. But that is super fun. When I get Darkseid out of the package, I will definitely punch him. It's got compartments in the back here. Let's see if I can open them up. They're tight. You could store accessories in here, or you could store guys, but they just don't fit. Figures from this line will not fit in these compartments. Let me see if the old Superman will fit. Nope, even the old Superpower Superman doesn't fit. So that is a thing to work on, designing these better. But that's where a kid could store Aquaman's lance, trident, right, or the lasso of truth as your accessory storage thing, since you can't actually store figures in there. But I would say, again, that's something that they need to work on. When you're making a line like this, make the features function. Otherwise, don't bother with it. Save yourself a few cents. The cockpit kind of springs open, which is cool. I don't know if... Oh, I think the... Does the S make that... the S is the release button for that. Boop. Kind of fun. Let's put Superman inside. There are some sticker decals in there. I don't know if I'm supposed to take his cape off to put him in. That was the good thing about the clothy capes. They just folded up nicely and fit in there. These slightly more rigid ones get in the way a little bit more. He fits. Excellent. Up, up, and away. I love it. The Batwing. How amazing is it we got a Batwing? This is super cool. It is pretty tiny, but it is awesome. Like, it's so cool to have a Batwing. It's in a nice dark blue, almost a hint of purple. Kind of matches that original Kenner Batmobile, which is a classic. I'm wondering if they're going to do some sort of a reissue of that. I hope, if they do, that it's obvious that it's a reissue. I hope they don't cheap out and, like, make it a one-seater, but I could see that happening to fit the price point of this line. We'll see what happens. I'm trying to open up the cockpit on this. The bat signal does it again. That's cool. It's even got a bat steering wheel, which is such a great touch. Let's put Batman inside. Force that cape in. Tuck it around. Uh-oh. The windscreen's not closing. You really got to lean him back in his seat. Oh, he got his cape sticking out. You maybe take the capes off, but, you know, the heroes need to wear their capes in their vehicles so they can spring out into action. This reminds me of a Jedi Starfighter toy. Just the kind of the profile of it. And a Batwing doesn't usually remind me of that. I guess just because it's so, like, squished. It's reminding me of those Jedi Starfighter toys from Episode 3. It's got these turbines here, or maybe they're guns. Depends what you want to pretend. It has a power pincher feature. Let's see. Oh, we got him. Pretty cool. The wings also can fold up, so you can pretend it can land. You could pretend it's the Batman Beyond car. That's totally what I would do with it, with those fins up like that, or if they sit at a slight angle. I wonder if they would repaint this as Batman Beyond's car. It would be, it's not 100% accurate, but it's similar. That could be kind of cool. This is fun. I really like that they're making some fun toys for adults to enjoy as the retro feature, to share with their kids. I definitely want to see what my stepsons think of these. The last figure we have to check out is Darkseid. If you didn't check out the boxes over here already, they've been on the table the whole time. They have a little bit of artwork that is very reminiscent of those superpower drawings. The back has photos of the features and things like that. It's pretty awesome. So we've got that new 52 art on there. The bubbles on this line are very large, but that allows them to accommodate these big figures. And here we have Darkseid out of the package. I had the vintage Darkseid as a kid. I didn't actually get him brand new. I bought him at a thrift store, so I never had his little cape piece and the medallion. But the figure was imposing. He was large, and when you squeeze his legs, his arms would move. The coolest thing about the original Darkseid, does not have it on this one, was the light piping feature. He had a little clear plastic on the top of his head, and when the light would hit that just right, his eyes would glow for the Omega Beam effect. That is a pretty easy action feature to build in, and that would have been incredible on this guy. Always thought that was super cool. I got to get Superman out of the Supermobile here so we can get a little comparison. Superman versus Darkseid. You can see he's a much larger figure. Obviously, no cloth good item here, but great value. Both of these figures are under $10. The vehicles are, I believe, under $25. The Batwing might have been under 20 and the Supermobile around 25. I forget exactly. I'd have to look back at the receipts, but they were fairly inexpensive, and that's what makes these great for collecting or for kids. So he's got some decent paintwork with the red and yellow striping on him. He's got the big blue armor plates over his gray skin, body, suit. Not really sure. As a kid, I always thought Darkseid was made of rock, because his face is very stone-looking, and then he has this gray area down here. This design has gray trunks sculpted on, but not painted in any particular color, so are his legs tights, or are his legs stone? with the undershorts under him. His arms are gray and have stone texture, so I assume he's got a bodysuit on. I don't even know why I'm rambling about this right now. So overall, I am very impressed with the DC Superpowers line from McFarlane. I really hope this keeps going. The old line was a lot of fun, and I think that this has a ton of potential for great characters, great play, and I really want to collect these things. Currently, they are a Walmart exclusive line, so you can only get them at Walmart. I think eventually that will time out, kind of like the Masters of the Universe figures, the Origins figures were at Walmart only. So I don't know if that will mean that we'll see this same wave at Target and other retailers later, or if just wave 2 or 3 or something down the line will hit those other stores. But don't necessarily sleep on this if you want a key character in a key outfit, right? If you want that Greg Capullo Batman, don't miss out. Or the Batwing. If I collected the old Superpowers and didn't want to rebuy stuff, characters, I already have a Darkseid, I would definitely at least be getting this. This is my top buy from this line for sure. If you enjoy the content I'm creating here, please hit the like button. It really helps spread the channel. Give us a subscribe if you're new here. Think about supporting us on Patreon if you're in the position to do that. It really does help make a big difference for producing a show like this. Thanks for hanging on the peg with me.